a new benefit for Delta cards, how I blew up my booking to Europe, all of that coming up right now on MTM Travel.
Yeah, direct all your rebooking hate to Shawn this time.
So happy Tuesday, Mark. I'm about to fly over to Europe, and I blew up my itinerary. So all the comments get to come in saying, I would hate to travel with Shawn.
Yeah, I'm glad that it happened to you, and this is kind of the fun part of miles and points. Though I think is you book the best thing that you can find when you start searching, and if it's like a legit nonstop, perfect itinerary, perfect dates, perfect time, then you just stay with it. That does happen, but there's other times that like it isn't great, or something along comes along that's way cheaper, and that was kind of the same with my flights home from Colombia next week. Originally, it was like 25,000 Delta Sky miles a person. And when you're paying for four people, or actually, I think it was like 28,000, when you're paying for four people, that adds up. And then it came out on Alaska, and we were able to get it for, I think, like 12.5, something like that a person. So I was like, oh, yeah, heck yeah, I'm going to do the one that's half as much. And we swapped it around. The times were about the same. So that worked out.
So I used a little outside the box thinking. For people who remember, I was booked on Condor, Las Vegas to Frankfurt in premium economy. And I booked that with 45,000 Alaska miles plus like $38 in taxes, I think, per person. And I still needed to get a flight from Germany to Athens. And, that was going to be what, a couple $100 or $150. Taxes alone were 100, even if I use points. So there's still going to be a cost there. And it was premium
Ryanair.
economy, but yeah, well, I was looking at that. I mean, that's fine. But,
Yeah.
one day in Germany, like, is this really the best option? And premium economy on Condor isn't really anything special. It's really just extra legroom. And of course, no business class coming up or anything like that. And so I start looking, and I find this itinerary on American Airlines in economy, Las Vegas to Charlotte, Charlotte to Athens. And American just launched that Charlotte to Athens flight last year. And so it's not like the busiest flight in the world. And I'm like, all right, well, that's 30,000 miles, but I need to figure out a way to get extra legroom because I'm not flying in regular coach. And if I can get extra main cabin extra on American, that's sort of like Condor. And yeah, so then I stumbled and remembered Hyatt status for a day.
Yeah, the thing that nobody ever thought they would use when it first came out.
I was so excited about this. I was like, oh my God. And there's not a lot of information out there on Hyatt status for a day on like how it works for seats. Cause this is the real reason I'm doing the status for the day is to get access to the main cabin extra, which, for our flight Charlotte to Athens were like $110 each for those seats. And it was a little bit cheaper Las Vegas to Charlotte. Was less important, I think. But anyway, I had to do the decision. You can do like Platinum Pro for 12,000 Hyatt points, or 8,000 Hyatt points get you Platinum. And I determined that was going to be good enough, but I still didn't know how I was going to be able to select seats and all of that. But yeah, the process super weird, Mark. But eventually I redeem this, and then this award shows up in my account. So I redeem on Hyatt's site for the benefit of the 8,000 points. And then it took about a day, but it showed up in my account, this status for a day. And then I had to go and click it and redeem it and set the day of travel. And so you'll want to do that. The good thing is you set a date, and you don't have to have your flight already booked. You can just book the flight after that, or you could already have it booked either way. The real problem, though, is once you set the date, you can't go back. So don't make a mistake there.
Yeah, so you might want to wait till you actually have it booked then, right?
Yeah. And the other thing is that they give you these seat upgrade coupons. So of course, your account doesn't have the status, right? Because if I'm flying in a couple of months, they're not going to give me the status today. And so in order to bridge that, they give you these seat upgrade coupons that work for main cabin extra. And for some reason, there's 3 of us, but they only gave me 4. And I guess because it's probably you get 4 for, I'm the only one with status on that flight. So they gave me 4, and that was 3 of them I used for the Charlotte to Athens flight. But those didn't work either. So I had to go to American's Twitter account, and they were able to book it for me. I wasn't able to use them. But then the crazy thing happened yesterday, Mark. I opened my account and I have Platinum status. So my whole app and my whole account this week is now upgraded to Platinum status. It shows Platinum status. I was able to select different seats with main cabin extra, just like you would if you had the status now. So it's a very clunky, weird process, but it did work out.
Yeah, so do you get to keep this? Like, how does that work? That you have the status now, or are you gonna get to keep it till your flight? And that was weird that you get the 4 seats when if you have platinum status, everybody on your itinerary, or at least the other your wife and daughter, should have been able to book in the main cabin extra too for both flights. So they should have given you at least 6 of those, unless there's some rule with this that you can only get like for 2 people per flight or something. I don't know, but that's crazy that you have it in your account that shows platinum.
Yeah, now it does. It didn't until yesterday, and I'm guessing it's just for the few days. They give it to you a little bit before your flight, and then after. Those main cabin extra coupons they gave me expired a couple days after my flight, so it wasn't like I could have used them for something else. It was just going to be for that day. So it feels like because their system has limitations, they've done all this to sort of figure out a way to give you status. So basically, my account turned over to Platinum 2 days before the flight date, and then I don't know how long after. But yeah, it's kind of cool. I mean, it's kind of cool. And then all those people pursuing status like crazy. Now, you can't do executive Platinum, unfortunately, but Platinum Pro gets you a lot. And, on an international flight like this, I could have had like first class lounge access, I think. I think it would have given me that. I didn't do that because we had a very tight connection in Charlotte. Wouldn't have needed it. I think you would only get one guest anyway. But yeah, I mean, I couldn't be happier with this.
I think you might get 2 with Platinum Pro. Maybe it's just 1. Maybe it's just 1. But yeah, that's the main perk for Platinum Pro, because Platinum lets you pick the main cabin extra at the time of booking, which is kind of what I'm going for this year. There's been some changes. Originally, I was going to try to go all the way to Executive Platinum. I'm Platinum Pro right now, and there's been some changes to the city system that just made it not worth it anymore. I'm going to focus on earning thank you points because I'd rather have miles than status. So I'm focusing on that, but I'm pretty close to platinum right now. And that's kind of what I want to make sure I get to platinum. And then I'll ride that out for the year, because then you get the main cabin extra at booking. That's normally what I use my status for anyway. Otherwise, if I'm really worried about first class, or oftentimes I'm just booking into it, because with Alaska you can do that for as low as 9,000 miles for a flight. So whenever that pops up, I just do it because it's cheap enough that whatever. I don't care about upgrades and worrying about it like that. So I don't really take advantage of upgrades or worry. So that the higher end status isn't really worth it to me. Now, the system wide upgrades that you get on your way to executive platinum would have been something that I was focusing on, which might have worked really well for your flight. We don't know for sure, but that could have been a possibility there, and just kind of throwing that out the window and focusing on, let me get my main cabin extras for another year and I'll be okay.
Yeah, system-wide upgrades are amazing when you have them. Did some good stuff. I don't think it would have worked on this flight. I think business was pretty full. But yeah, I mean, I'll be hating it. I'm talking like getting 4 extra inches of legroom is like a lay flat business class seat. It's gonna suck, but we are flying on the way back. I guess I got to talk about on the way back.
Hold on the way there. Is the plane like a row of 3? Is it like 343?
It's 343, and we're unfortunately in the 4. I'm still trying to move us, but yeah.
I was gonna say, because if you're in the 3 especially with a small child, like that's not too bad. That was the nice thing coming back from Paris. We were in the 4 row, and just the 4 of us took it up, and it was a daytime flight, which made it better. But it was perfectly comfortable because you had space. You knew who's sitting next to you. You didn't have somebody like filling out their seat and parts of your seat. You didn't have to worry about that. So we put the kids in the middle, had plenty of space.
Yeah, I'm hoping that some 3 seats become open in main cabin extra before the flight. And now, because I have the status, I can switch us. So we will see. But if not, Jasmine's going to be sitting next to somebody. I'll be on the aisle, and we'll survive. She's 4'11" for the record. She's tiny too. But coming back, much better situation. I've been looking at different options. I have to go back, like for years and years and years, I have been trying to go to Morocco on a way back from Europe. I've tried to get Royal Air Maroc. I have found some space to JFK, but for me, going to JFK is sort of pointless. Like, I still got to get all the way back to Las Vegas. That's a long sort of transitionary flight. So I haven't done it, but I went on, looked on their website, found 3 business class tickets, Casablanca to LAX. 57,500 American Airlines miles. I mean, is there a better deal these days? I don't know. And we're going to Casablanca. So I will finally be getting to Morocco. And my first time, I hate saying this out loud because I feel like I should have been to Africa before, but my first time being to Africa.
No, I think that's really cool. And we talked about this when I booked my flights for Azores, and I was finding it out of Dulles, and I was finding one seat pretty reliably on that flight from Dulles to Casablanca. and it was I think 45 or 50, something like that, thousand. And I was like, oh, this is a really good way to get kind of over into that vicinity. And then that did have the connection into Lisbon from there, which ended up working out really well. But it was like every day was one. I'm surprised you found three. That's pretty sweet. And maybe it's just that route, or maybe it's because I was using Alaska that I was only seeing one. But yeah, that sounds like the perfect way to get home.
Yeah, two things. I did not see those seats on Alaska, the same three seats. So that is an interesting thing I hadn't really thought about. But it would have been longer. It would have been more money or more miles anyway with Alaska's distance based. So I think American was the better program to use for that. And I found two different dates, 2 days apart, that both had three seats. By the time I actually booked it, somebody had booked some of the other seats. But there were, when I did my initial search, there was two dates that had three seats. And this is fully lie flat, pretty good seats on a fairly new plane. So the product looks pretty good. I've read some reviews on mixed service, but hard to beat that. And then from LA, we'll get home pretty quickly. So looking forward to that. And the Hyatt Regency in Casablanca looks pretty decent. Use the suite upgrade there. So should have a suite there. Also going to stay at the Hyatt Regency in Barcelona for the first time, which I've stayed in many areas of that city. Funny, I've never stayed at a Hyatt in Barcelona. So we'll be staying there as well. But like I've already talked about both those hotels, marginal changes with all the recent repricing, but nothing crazy or huge.
No, it sounds like it's going to be a great trip, and I'm excited to hear about the cruise and then also the flights, and hopefully, I mean, if I was going to rough it, I'd rather rough it on the flight home, but we'll see how you do on the way out.
I don't know. I was thinking about that, and I've sort of said that. But on the when you're home, going home, you're kind of tired and it's kind of tedious. I don't know, and it's different for you and me too. I think where you live, from Europe or from that area, it's a shorter flight, 6 or 7 hours. I think is a little different than 11, 12 hours. So I don't know. I'm just happy that I got it. That I could say, okay, we got it one way, another airline to fly business class, and keeping us humble on the way out. But honestly, like for me, getting that extra 4 or 5 inches of legroom is night and day difference at 6'2". So it's the difference between really, really sucking and just sucking.
Yeah, and the real reason you did all this because you just did not want to have to deal with Frankfurt Airport. So understandable.
I'm not gonna lie that like when you said that, like you kind of got in my head about it because we
It's the
had
worst.
because it was only for a day, right? It was like we were gonna
Yeah.
just fly in and then it's a connector flight, and then I looked at okay, the Condor flight was 45,000 miles, American's only 30. Again, this wasn't a huge thing, but even the taxes and fees were 150 cheaper, and then I don't have to get the extra flight out of Frankfurt. So you're talking $500-600 worth of points or cash, depending on which direction I went with on how to pay for all of that. And so it did end up being quite a bit cheaper. And hopefully American does good because the itinerary, the connection timing, everything is perfect. Like the timings are great.
No, it sounds like the perfect fit. And now if Condor had like premium economy, kind of what like Delta or American or United have, then I'd be more wishy-washy which way to go. I'd probably still go with American just because it's one, it gets you where you need to go quicker, and two, it's so much cheaper. But it would be tempting because I do like that the first class, like domestic first class type seat with the kick out footstool. It does make an overnight flight a bit nicer.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know which direction. I mean, I would have loved for American to have premium economy and paid a little bit more even
Yeah.
for that, but that wasn't an option on our flights. But yeah, we'll get there. It's all good. Looking forward to it. Going to on the cruise to Greece, Italy, Montenegro, and Spain and another country I don't know, but and then Morocco. So it'll be a crazy trip over the couple weeks. And yeah, you're going down to Colombia next week too. So we're both traveling at the same time.
Yeah, so we will be not doing a show next week. So there you go. Heads up.
Yeah, we'll be out partying and all of that. So one more thing on AA while we're talking about them. Benji had an article how to sort of check your flights. One of the nice things about AA is that you can rebook your flights. You can even cancel them, redeposit the miles. But he talks about, a strategy. If the flight's good enough, if you think it's in the realm of possibility, get your flight booked. And then it's very easy on their website to search for better options to see if it's cheaper or better connections or better timings. And he sort of walks you through the process on how to do that. And just easier than ever. A very simple thing to do.
Yeah, that's true with a lot of domestic carriers because they free cancellations. So now before COVID, this was a whole big pain, and that's why Southwest Rapid Rewards were so popular, because you could cancel whenever, change whenever, not have to pay fees, and that really wasn't the case for everybody else until COVID came, and then they rolled out all these new policies, and they've kind of stuck. And I'm a little bit surprised they stuck, but I'm super happy they stuck. It kind of changed the whole game for us. But this is a great way to do it, and this is what we talked about before. Lock in the best you can find, and then go from there. Some people take it to another extreme where they book the cheapest thing they can find. And it doesn't matter how ratty the route is, how many stops it has, if there's an overnight layover, whatever. They're booking that because if it's 8,000 miles and everything else is like 15, they're booking it hoping for a schedule change that is big enough that they can make a free change. And then they'll book either the flight they want to get into, maybe even a different day. If they're like a day before, a day after when they really want to go, they'll book that and then say, okay, that's not going to work for me anymore. How about tomorrow at this time on this flight? And they will change you. They won't charge you a difference or anything like that if they make a schedule change. So that's another game that people like to play.
I think the key with all this is how much time are you willing to spend on it? What Benji's saying here is really just a simple way, right? It's not going to take you a ton of time. He's saying lock in a flight
Yeah.
that you're willing to take, meaning that, I'm not just throwing something that I'm going to have to cancel later. And then the website, the system, it makes it easy enough to search and to do that. I think that's the right level of stuff here. We're going to have to talk about gardening, Mark. I'm sorry, but those people,
No, can't use that word.
Gardening their bookings, it's a bit much for me.
Worst word. That and Uplift. Oh, cancel both of them. But
You
yeah,
gotta
no,
uplift your booking by getting a better connection. I like it. I
we'll call
like
it
it.
glow up. Let's call it glow up. No, it is, and this is something we've talked about for other programs too, that we need to do a better job of. Even hotels, like they're fully dynamic now for the most part. Even Hyatt is kind of in that dynamic price range. They don't maybe change as much as others, but there's been times that I checked too late, like it was outside the cancellation window, maybe looking to say like, hey, if somebody else wants to come, how much would it cost? And I'm like, crap, that I could have saved 12,000 Hilton points or whatever it is. So I need to do a better job of this. And maybe that's just calendar reminders or whatever. And if you're doing it simply like this, where you're just clicking through a couple times versus waiting for schedule changes, and you have like 3 different flights booked, hoping that one gets a schedule changed, or like a Joe where he has 4 backup flights and then you have to remember to cancel them all. That's too much for me. But it just remembering to check every so often. Maybe it's like every Monday you run through all your bookings. I don't know what it is. I don't know what the answer is, but it can add up to tens of thousands of points, which can add up to hundreds of dollars.
It's funny because you have these conversations. I've had this exact conversation with people in person because at meetups, people love to talk about this stuff, right? And talk about what their strategy is and stuff. And you get into these people who love to have 8,000 backup reservations, and they look like mad scientists when they start talking about how they have this and that and this and that. But then there's other people in this hobby that track all kinds of different stuff. So whatever works for you. But there are people that are just obsessed with it. It's not every Monday, right? It's like every morning they're doing something or they're changing. And there's people like they don't want to travel with us because we'll change one flight. But there's people. What is the most amount of flight changes you think like the crazy people do? Like I've had people that have multiple backups and then changing like dozen times, and that's just normal for them.
I mean, the craziest person out there has got to be our boy Rob, and I'd say that not because of flights. He books a couple flights, but he books, if we announce a meetup, he'll book like 4 hotels for the meetup because he doesn't know which one he's going to want to take. And it's like, I got this one just in case people are this, or I like this area a little bit better, but we don't know. I'm like, okay, hotels are the easy ones for me. I don't switch those up much. But he will, for every single event he goes to, he'll have 3 or 4 different hotels booked as soon as it's announced, and then he'll decide later.
And he's very organized, very on top of stuff. Retired.
So it happens when you retire at like 42 or whatever.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's that type of personality, though, right? I mean, he's got his stuff together, and he's very much on top of that, and it works great for him, and that's all part of the fun. But yeah, so go check out Benji's article if you want to know on AA, because you should at least be doing that. But we should talk about Delta adding a new card benefit for the basic card member. So if you have a Delta card, your authorized users don't get this benefit. But should I do a drum roll? This sexy new benefit that they're adding? A second check bag.
Oh boy. Southwest. Hey, Southwest got rid of their 2 bags fly for free. Delta's bringing it back. I bet you that's part of the reason they did it.
Yeah, I wonder, like, they have all this data, right, on how many people check 2 bags, right?
Not
Can't be
many.
that many.
No.
Yeah, and I think that that's probably what this is a way to sort of, yeah, 2 bags fly free. Southwest doesn't do it anymore. And I'm sure that there is somebody out there that will be happy about this. I do feel like the vast majority of the world has moved into the correct camp, which is carry on.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, if you have like somebody going to college and they're taking all their stuff for the first of the year, coming home, or doing a bigger international trip or visiting family, I could see needing the two bags. I don't remember the last time I checked a bag that didn't have like beer in it, that I actually physically needed to check it. It's been a long, long time. We used to be the type that would check it and then get on the plane last because we didn't have to carry it. And there is something to be said about that. Like, you don't have to walk around the airport with it. That's kind of nice. I just hate waiting at the carousel for it. Plus, the chances of them losing it it seems like is very high, even though it probably only happens 1 out of every 20, 30 flights for most people. I don't even know what the number is, but it does seem like that. I mean, they even forget gate check bags. It seems like a lot of the time. So I don't even want to do that.
How does that happen? Like,
I don't know. It's bad
it
systems.
is a wild experience gate checking, because you find that when you have a kid, like a baby. Like, I remember when we traveled a lot when Ellie was 0 to 2 years old, or, we had strollers all the time and sometimes other stuff. And so you're always gate checking stuff. And it's just wild, especially internationally, how they do things differently. A lot of international airports, it'll be gate checked, but then it'll actually go to the baggage carousel. So you might as well just check a bag. But yeah, I think most people check. I just can't even fathom having to check a bag for travel and dealing with that. And then, I have important things I got to carry on anyway that I'm not going to put in a check bag. And I do miss, though. I would love to get on the plane last, and I can't. And I would love to do it.
Yeah.
I would 100% be the last person on the plane.
That's why everybody's like, why do you want to get on first? Or why do you care about the boarding? Just because of the overhead space. That's the only reason.
Yeah, so I can sit there. So here's the argument then. If you're on the other side of this, you're saying, okay, you don't want to go to baggage claim and waste that time, but then you want to go sit on that plane for 40 minutes getting crunched in there. So there is a trade-off there.
Yeah, I'd rather not have them lose my bag. I'm in the 100% will not lose my bag crew. So that is more important.
So let us know what you guys think about today. My trip, last minute thing, Hyatt status for a day on American. Have you ever heard of that or done that? We'll see. There's so little about it out there. It feels like I had forgotten. Honestly, Mark, I had forgotten about it till I stumbled across it.
Because nobody thought it was useful until today.
Yeah, there you go. Let us know. Maybe there's somebody else out there who's done it. Changing flights, Royal Air Maroc. We're both flying that this year. Or have you flown there? Leave a comment down below. And then, is that second free check bag going to make you get a Delta credit card? Let us know in the comments. We do 2 shows a week, and we will be back on Thursday with another show. Next week's schedule, a little bit different with our travel, but then we'll be back with normal shows after that. Thank you so much for watching. Talk to you next time.
Have a good week, everybody.
The captain has turned on the seatbelt light. Please take your seats and fasten your seatbelt.